Hey guys, I'm wearing a new Wish shirt. You know what that means.
Wish, your wish is on my list, because your wish is what I miss, because your wish is on my list of the best things in life.
That's right, it is an episode of Your Wish is on My List. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the show, this is a episode where I go on the shopping site wish.com, and if you know anything about me, you know I love the discount shopping site Wish. If you're not familiar with Wish, I highly advise that you check it out, because it is basically a shopping site that has some of the cheapest, weirdest, most bizarre crap ever come out of China. It's on wish.com. And one of the cool things is they have fishing lures on wish.com. So what I do is I look on these, I look for deals, and let me tell you, everything is like super cheap. They come from China, and they literally put those on the slow boat from China. I mean, you buy it and then like 6 months later, they'll show up at your door. By the time you get it, you forget what you actually bought. So it's like, you get a package from Wish, it's like Christmas, because you never know what you got. But anyways, I've been collecting these lures just throughout the winter, I mean, anytime I see them, I've been buying them. And I have a engorged sack full of wish.com lures that are just dying to see the light of day and put them to the test on the water. So that's what we're going to do. I have a couple tied on, and I'm going to see if we can get some bites and catch a couple fish. Let's get to it. Hey, getting a little nervous there. I hadn't gotten a bite like all morning. All right, not a big guy, but nice little fish here. I was getting a little nervous. The conditions look good, and I have not been able to get a bite. So, but this was first bite of the day. Not a big guy, but nice and healthy. Let's get him back in the water. And now it's time for tackle roundup. All right, guys, what I was fishing with today is this. It is a like a little finesse style worm, and this is the package that it comes in. I've gone through several of them because I got broken off a couple times, but by Sougayilang is the name of it. It's like a little finesse worm, and let me show you what it looks like. It's like a bitone little finesse worm. It's got ribs on it, which is really cool, and like for the tail, it's got like a bifold tail like that, and like these little red eyes. Oh no, I just thought it was cool. The backside is black, and then the underside is Chartreuse. I just thought it was a really cool lure. It surprised me that it's on wish.com. So that's what we used. And let me show you how I got it rigged up here. I've just put it on just a shaky head, and have it rigged up like that. I also had it as a drop shot, but I couldn't get much I mean, the drop shot just does not seem to be working at all, but that's what I'm using. Shaky head. This is a 3/16 ounce. I actually was using a 1/8 ounce earlier, which is kind of my standard for drop shots. I mean, for shaky head. However, the wind has started to kick up and the conditions are changing a little bit, and so I'm having to contend with the wind, and it's hard, you know, with a really light shaky head with the wind. It's blowing it all over the place. So I'm gonna upgrade to this 3/16 and see if that helps out. But that's what we're using today. This little finesse ribbed worm by Sougayilang. And that concludes today's tackle roundup. Yes, son. Yes, son. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Look at that toad. Yeah, son. Sorry, turned into Roland Martin there. Yeah, son. Look at him. Yes, sir. Well, that's awesome. All right. Now that I'm looking at him, he's not nearly as big as I thought he was. But he was still fun, though. I mean, it's not a bad fish. I thought he was a lot bigger in my excitement. But what's cool about that is he actually, I'd fished over there, he had picked it up and ran with it and then dropped it before I could set the hook in him. And I just kept throwing. I don't know if you can see, there's like a little bush there in the water. Yeah, he picked it up and ran with it, and he dropped it before I set the hook, and I just kept throwing in there, aggravating him. Yeah, Wish.com. Let's get him back in the water. Little fish there. Look at him. I was about to go in. Look at him. Well, hey, if Wish.com or Sougayilang is looking for a paid promotional spokesperson, I might just be the man for the job. Look at him. Let's get him back in the water. Well, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up for today's episode. I actually had a really good time fishing these little ribbed worms. They're actually pretty cool. Was only able to catch those fish that you saw. I don't think it was the lure's fault, or the fisherman's fault for that matter. It's one of these things where it's summertime. The bite is just fickle. And then on top of it, I was getting the bites on these worms. It's just the conditions. It got really windy, and it's hard to fish a finesse style bait when it's windy like that. I had several opportunities where, I was fishing it and the fish would pick it up and go run with it, but because there was so much bow in the line because of the wind, by the time I saw it, they would drop it. And that happened several times where they would pick it up, and then by the time I realized what was going on, it was they had dropped it, and it just nothing you could do about it. So I was getting bites. Well, that's really cool. Thoughts. I'm going to do something that I don't typically do, which is I'm going to recommend these things. These are actually like really, really cool worms. I really like them. Let me show you a couple things that I like about it. Obviously, I like the color scheme, and you can get multiple colors. I showed you the one that I was fishing with today was the black with the chartreuse back. They have lots of different colors. I like this one too. I didn't really fish this one, but it's a black with a green. Look at that. That's really cool. Something that I learned inadvertently, just because like the worm, it broke off, and look at this. The thing like floats. I mean, when I say it floats, it genuinely floats. You know, a lot of times, you know, you see these floating worms or these, you know, the trick worms, and they say, oh, it floats. But then, you know, as soon as the worm breaks off, it like sinks to the bottom. It's like, it's not floating, but this like legitimately will float. It's super light, and I think is the ribs, I think it holds a lot of air. I think I would like to, in the springtime, when when the fish are biting the floating worm, rig that up with like a really light wire hook. I think that thing would probably be pretty deadly. That's really something. I thought that was really cool. Durability wise, you know, most of the time these wish.com lures, the lures are not durable like at all. But I mean, these things held up. The most that like I lost was when I got snagged. I mean, I lost a couple then. And then I cast it and I hit a rod behind me and I broke that. That was how I figured out that the worm floated, because I was casting and I hooked the rod behind me and it broke the worm, and then the worm fell in the water. I was like, oh, it floats. What do you know? So that's really cool. And then also something that I really liked about it is, I don't know if like the ribs, you know, obviously it's ribbed for her pleasure, but I don't know if the ribs actually contribute as far as like to the actual movement or motion in the water. But the thing that I found that it really does well is, you know, when you run the hook like Texas rig style through there, you can run your hook all the way through the worm and then kind of just bury it in the ribs a little bit, and so it stays perfectly weedless. But then it only has to rip through a little bit of material in order to actually get a good hook set. So I don't know, I actually really like these. It's just shocking because it's a wish.com lure. Who knew? But anyways, I'm going to put down in the description box a brief description of the worm. You can probably find it on Wish, but I'll do what I can to describe it. But yeah, I had a really good time. As always, I appreciate you coming along on this ride, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be seeing you next week. This is Josh, and this is Abide Fishing. I was out here, one of my fans is out here on the dock putting a hurting on them. There you go. You keeping them or you releasing them?
You can't fit hot dog buns, so I'll throw them back.
Alright. What'd you catch them on?
I took a roundup. This is my TCB rod from B&M, and this Amazon reel, and a 1-inch gulp black shad minnow on a Bud's Bait and Tackle jig head with 3-pound fire line and a 4-pound leader.
And that concludes
I took a roundup.
Later, Harold.